Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be talking about the idealist theory or idealism. We're going to be looking at how they view the international system, how they view global affairs, how they feel like the world works or things like that. So first off, the idealist theory is most times regarded as an utopian theory. The word utopian is a term that is linked to an imagination of a perfect world, a world where everyone is living in peace, harmony, and all that. It's sounding more like heaven or eternity. So most times the idealist theory is seen as impossible because utopian is just an imagination. It doesn't work, but we cannot judge them yet. We need to look at their postulations and why they view the world in that way, or why they feel global affairs should be run in that way. So before we continue, please like, share and subscribe. Thank you. The idealists believe that international relations or international cooperation should be governed by cooperation, morality and rules instead of power and conflict. It's not every time you show you are the big boss in the international system. You don't need to show your military capability, you don't need to show your strength, you don't need to show your economic power, because there are rules governing this relationship. They believe that if there are rules, people will act according to these rules. Because when there are rules and when rules are being broken, there are consequences. So they believe that states will sit back and follow the rules because there are consequences and they will not want to be found wanting. They believe this process will bring peace. So are you following? Do you still believe it's true, it's possible? But let's continue. Why did they even think this way? Why did they think we can have a peaceful society? Why did they think there can be a society without war? You can't blame them. There was an occurrence, there was an event. Now, before the World War I, which started in 1914, the world was ruled by power struggle, everyone showing what they have. And what did this lead to? The outbreak of World War I, one of the war that devastated Europe. So imagine for 4 years, there were conflicts in different regions and different areas, back to back. They were fighting for 4 good years. So imagine what the world would have been. The World War I didn't bring any positivity. Instead, it shattered the world. Millions of deaths, economic devastation, infrastructures were shattered. Like everywhere was just damaged. And they looked at it. How can we avoid this kind of thing? We don't need this kind of war to come again. We might not survive it. So you get where they're coming from now. There was a reason for their action. So scholars, individuals started thinking, how can we make this a better place? How can we make the world a better place? How can we not have this kind of war in the future? They were trying to prevent this war. Then there was a certain individual that can never be forgotten when talking about idealism, and that's Woodrow Wilson, the then president of the United States of America. He wrote like a thesis, and then it was called the 14 points. The 14 points were majorly like rules or points that were noted on how to bring peace in the world and how to prevent the kind of conflict that happened for 4 years from happening in the future. They didn't want that kind of catastrophe again. So that was like the birth of idealism. They needed peace. They've been fighting back to back for 4 years, so they needed that fresh air. Yes, they needed peace. So they believed that if the world can be ruled by these rules, the world will be a peaceful place. They can mitigate or cushion the effect of these wars, and instead of it escalating, they can amend disputes amicably instead of it escalating. So these 14 points and the different ideas led to the creation of the League of Nations. That was in 1920. Remember, the World War I was from 1914 to 1918. Then the League of Nations was established in the 1920 after the 14 points. So now we're going to be talking about the major postulations of the idealist theory. I divided it majorly into 4. The first one is that human nature is essentially good. Secondly, they believe that wars can be prevented. 3, they believe in the establishment of international institutions and international law. Then finally, they believe in collective security. Explaining it one by one, the first one states that human nature is essentially good. The idealist theory, in contrast to the realist theory that believes that man is selfish and wicked, the idealist theory don't believe that man is selfish and wicked. Instead, they believe that man by nature is essentially good. That is, the way God created human race, or the way God created man is good. And most of the times, the way humans act is as a result of the conditions or the situations they find themselves. That's the belief of the idealist theory. We are all good people. They are not bad people. The conditions shape the people. They believe that humans are not naturally aggressive and they are not the major cause of war. For them, if you want to know the major cause of war, you need to look at the structures and the systems in a particular society. The structures and the system are more responsible for the war than human nature, because they believe that human will not just wake up on a normal day and decide to start a war or decide to attack a particular region or a particular society. There must be a condition, there must be a structure that is not working before humans can go to war. That's their first postulation. You're following, and I don't know, you can write your comments in the comment section and let's see if you agree to this or not. Then secondly, they believe that wars can be prevented. The idealists are not saying there are no wars at all, but they believe that the world can be more peaceful. Peace can be achieved, and this peace can be achieved majorly through the formulation of rules. If there are rules, these wars can be prevented, because once you break the rule, there are consequences. And they believe that instead of each dispute leading to the outbreak of war, there are other ways which this dispute can be settled or can be amended. They can be done through negotiation, they can be done through diplomacy, but war shouldn't be the final result. The outbreak of World War I taught them a lot of lessons. They learned a lot because they also suffered a lot. Millions of deaths. Some of them lost their family, some of them lost their children, their friends, and even their properties. So they didn't want this to occur again. So instead of leading to bringing about the outbreak of war, why not look for a better way to settle this issue amicably instead of it escalating? Another postulation of the idealist theory is that they believe in laws and institutions. While the realist theory believe that the international system is anarchical in nature, that is, it is lawless, the idealist theory said, no, we can create these laws, and these laws can be used to achieve peace. They believe that if institutions are created where states can talk to one another and relate with one another, governed through certain rules, they believe that peace will be an achievable goal. Now, let's paint the scenario. You have a group where you have 10 to 20 friends in a group where they discuss about their goals, discuss about their career, get what they want from their friend and all. And in this group, there is a particular rule that governs them. You must not do this. If you do this, this will be the repercussion and things like that. The relationship will be cordial. You might not like the person, but there's something you're gaining from the person, so you try to keep the relationship. And because you don't want to face the repercussion of breaking the rule, you will behave yourself. That's the belief of the idealist theory. So they believe that if states are relating with one another in a particular institution, it will help them to cooperate with one another instead of going to war. That is why the League of Nations is seen as the most practical implementation of the idealist theory, because they believe with the establishment of the League of Nations, nations or states across the world will be able to relate with one another, and there will be no war like the World War I ever again. The final postulation of the idealist theory is collective security. An attack to one is an attack to all. So imagine you have 20 states in a particular institution, or let's say all the states in the League of Nations. They're trying to be peaceful, trying to be cordial, trying to cooperate with one another. Then all of a sudden, a particular state opts out and tries to attack one other state. Based on the rules, all the states in the institution will face you. Who wants to go through that rigor or through that stress when you have up to 20 to 30 nations fighting just one nation? No. So they believe that if there is an act of collective security where an attack to one nation is an attack to all nations within an institution, peace will be an achievable goal. So these are the major postulations of the idealist theory. I need you to tell me in the comment section if you feel like it's still a delusional theory or something that it's practicable, and do you believe that peace can actually be achieved in the world? And finally, or most importantly, do you believe that human nature is good and not wicked or selfish? Thank you for watching.